of world we live in. Okay, so let's go to the second section of this session today, which is the actual topic. So learning cycle 1, introduction to digital marketing, and a little bit light content today because we already spent half of the time on the course basics. So we'll try to go through, or I will go through these areas, and as I mentioned, if you are busy, you can drop off toward the end. So we look at the reason for digital marketing, why it's important, why it's worthy to study. We look at the definition, the boundaries, and then we look at different specializations and subfields in digital marketing. And also we discuss about the skills, because skills are hugely important for students and young professionals. They are always worried about skills and tools. So we'll discuss about those a bit. And then some tips at the end about career development or some options for you to consider. Okay, so why is digital marketing important? Well, this is sort of self-evident. The people's time spent on media and marketing budgets are digitalized. So it's absolutely crazy how much people consume digital media every day, whether it's social media or doing searches or using platforms to browse different things to buy or reading reviews, whatever. We are totally hooked and connected, and it's really amazing when you think about it at the global scale, because maybe 10 years ago, the time spent on digital was maybe half or 1/3 of it, what it is now. And we are talking about millions and millions of hours and millions and millions of hours of attention put into the screen. So this has drastically changed how we consume information, how we search for things as consumers. We are now totally digitalized in that way, and therefore digital marketing is a means to try to intercept your attention, try to direct your attention, try to persuade you to do something that serves a purpose of that organization. Usually the purpose is that the organization wants to sell you something, so they want you to buy, but it could be other. We had an interesting discussion nowadays with the sustainability and so on. We could have an organization that could try to persuade you or influence you to spend less, or consume less, or consume less material things and more experiences or services and so on. So it's not always that companies or marketers want to sell more, but most often it still is. And that's why the marketing budgets and these actions and job titles are moving into digital. So people, when we hire marketers nowadays, we expect them to have certain basic skills in digital marketing, because a lot of the activities companies do are now taking place in the digital platforms, because that's where the people are. So that change has sort of solidified digital marketing, and we considered, or we anticipated maybe 10 years ago, that digital marketing would merge into marketing mainstream, and we would not anymore in 2024 speak about marketing and digital marketing, but we would go back to marketing, and digital is just now one part of the mix. It hasn't happened, interestingly. So we are still having these separate terms, separate concepts, and also separate career paths or programs in universities. So this merging hasn't happened, at least conceptually, and also not in like academia. So, but it has to some extent happened in companies. So again, as I mentioned, like it's hard to find now a job position in marketing that doesn't have to do with digital, that doesn't require some digital marketing skill set, right? So that merging has in a way happened, but it has not happened in a way that digital marketing is merged into mainstream marketing. It's more like mainstream marketing is merging to digital marketing because it's that kind of transformation to that extent. Everything has changed, that digital marketing is almost paradigm. And then the traditional marketing skills are kind of like, well, apologies for that. The traditional skills are more actually now, let's say, in agony or struggling because things like copywriting, customer understanding, things like 4P models, these kind of traditional basic skills of marketers are considered somehow overrun by technology and technical skills. And that's now some marketers are starting to uh, raise concerns about this. And even among the digital marketers, they are starting to say that, hey, should we go a little bit back to the classic theory of marketing and try to, you know, get something useful out of those fundamental skills. But indeed, the corporate sector, the companies, they have been they have completely adopted the digital mindset and the tools and the platforms. And that has driven marketing for the past 10 years or so. And yeah, for us as digital marketers, this is pretty good because our expertise, if we are good at some particular subfield of digital marketing, we probably have better job opportunities than if we didn't have those skills. And yeah, so basically digital marketing is marketing using digital technologies, software tools, and online platforms. And I think, yeah, the technology part is what kind of, if you would ask what is the difference between marketer and digital marketer, it's that the digital marketer is really into technology and they know about technology and how to use it. And traditional marketer knows about other things, but is not, let's say, specialized in technology. So I think technology is the dividing factor to me. And as I mentioned earlier, platforms are very essential. So the relationship between digital marketers to platforms is very decisive in our profession. What the platforms enable us to do, we can do, and they enable us to do a lot. So this is very sort of like a beautiful thing that from Finland, you can run an ad campaign to a global brand in all of the countries in the world. So when someone types, this is a real case, the Finnish clothing brand, my students ran a campaign for them back in 2015, 2013. And yeah, someone looks in for Makia in Georgia in Google and their ad is shown. And it's created by a bunch of students and in like a couple of hours and it goes alive immediately and it's global. So this kind of global reach is one example of how these platforms amplify our skills as marketers and make a one person in theory achieve much more than a whole team could achieve in the past. But there's also a downside, which is that some things if something is not enabled by these platforms or supported, we don't do it because it's not possible. It's not in the reach of options, right? So a good example of this is the lifetime value measurement. So lifetime, we know that customer lifetime is very important in marketing because usually you need to pay a lot to get the customer to convert for the first time. But then so you bank in on the repeated purchases, right? So there's a lifetime. So if they only buy once, maybe you will not gain, you will lose. It's not a profitable relationship. So we want these repeated purchases, and lifetime, over the lifetime, the relationship will be profitable. But this is hard to measure, or it's not measured by standard solutions in Google Analytics or Google Ads. So therefore, even though we know this from marketing theory since decades, it's not done. So if you go into almost any company doing e-commerce or anything that's like digital first, they usually don't have a good grasp of CLV, so customer lifetime value. And it's just because that metric is not available. They're looking at different metrics. They're looking at the default metrics in those platforms, and that is limiting their thinking, unfortunately. But this is the downside of these platforms. They let us do a lot, but if there is something we would like to do and they don't have that option, we cannot do it. And very few marketers think outside the box that, okay, we need to build this ourselves, or we need to somehow not rely completely on platform, because the platforms are so easy, everything with the click of a button, and you can make things happen. So this kind of principle of least effort will kick in, and people will just resort to whatever the platform enables. All right, so an important thing here is that digital marketing is like inherited from marketing, so it's not just promotion. Of course, in marketing we have this, which I like, the 4P model. The promotion is one part of it, then you have price, place, and product. So marketing should be much broader perspective to running a business, which is also kind of like hindered by marketers themselves, because many people who study marketing, and perhaps even some of you, might think that, oh yeah, I will go to work in the advertising business or media, media sales, that kind of thing. So you're thinking about the promotion already. So then, and of course, many companies also, they think, yeah, we need to do marketing. That means advertising, right? But they then just miss a lot on the opportunities, because marketing can be the function between the company or the organization and the customers. So that implies two-directional relationship. So we should do a lot more customer research. We should listen, and we should understand the world around us to then communicate, but also to communicate to those people, sure, but also to communicate within the organization to help our product development, to help our strategic planning, to help our financial planning by generating demand forecasts and things like that. So if you think about it, that role between the customers and the organizational groups or stakeholders is very pivotal. It's one of the most important things in business that you could have, whether, I mean, in any type of industry or business. So this idea is very generalizable. And specifically, this applies to digital marketing in the sense that we have now these ways of obtaining feedback from people, their opinions, because people express themselves a lot online. So that's hugely valuable, those opinions, the experiences, and thoughts that people willingly share when they write reviews or when they post to social media, in almost any context. So we can learn a lot about people, and then we can bring that information into our strategic decision making. All right, so marketing has different subfields. Here are some that I was teaching back in 2015. I found old slides, introduction slides. So here are 9 that I included back then. And yeah, I mentioned that most of them have still kind of maintained their relevance, but there has been some changes or shifts in emphasis at least. So for example, in online advertising, we have now clearer, let's say, distinction between performance driven and awareness, performance driving and awareness driving advertising. So one that aims for direct sales and one that aims for things like brand awareness and so on. So for example, the PPC or pay-per-click advertising is typically considered to be very performance driven. We want to generate conversions, usually sales, through that type of advertising. So we use metrics that measure the profitability and the sales aspects of that activity. Whereas programmatic advertising, which technically PPC platforms are also programmatic, but this programmatic concept has been introduced by the media folks, not really that strongly by Google and Meta, who kind of infiltrated and took over the media space because their ads or their platforms just generated so much more conversions. The Google ads and Meta ads are much stronger than these traditional media actors, which are called publishers. So their ad networks were overrun. So this programmatic wave of advertising is kind of their attempt to fight back. So there are now ad networks where these publishers have grouped and you can run ads there, and they have, let's say, copied or imitated or mimicked a lot of features that Google and Facebook or nowadays Meta have developed. So this kind of shift has taken place, or um, clarification has taken place in online advertising. Then search engine and social media marketing remain both very important, and but now, and content marketing as well. But in content marketing, there has been like a, let's say, division between its role in supporting either social media marketing or SEO. Some people view content marketing as, primarily we are producing content for Google to notice us, right? So that we get indexed with the right keywords and we are ranking. So they see the function of content marketing as supporting SEO, whereas another wave of digital marketing thinkers is thinking that it's this kind of zero-click marketing, where we don't even want to necessarily Google to index us, and we don't want even to generate clicks, but we just want to share a content to establish our brand and our image, and basically just trying to help people to either entertain people or then help them solve their problems by producing some useful content that when they are looking for information about the topic, or when they're browsing social media, they are getting some useful information, and we are the ones producing. So this division between it being kind of like a subfield of SEO versus it being as kind of a social media marketing tool is one that has taken place in content marketing. Then we have blocker reach outs, and not, it used to be called blocker reach out before this term influencer marketing was coined, and now the influencer marketing is the dominant term. But so we did a lot of blocker reach outs before it was called influencer marketing, but nowadays it's a huge business because of this people being more important than companies, or more interesting, and other people follow other people and not companies. So again, as we discussed, that all these eyeballs are targeting or watching online content and the screens, so that a lot of that attention is directed to following other people, and therefore these influencers have become very instrumental in marketing, and they have become very prominent, and that industry has been monetized very strongly. So it's now very big and professional business in making these deals. It's similar to how you would have celebrity endorsements in the past. Those are big deals with people having managers and you sign contracts and those deals are huge. Whereas when we started this, it was more like, here, oh, here's a freebie product and would you like to make a video with us? And they would say, yeah, sure, let's do it. But nowadays it's much more, let's say, professional business to run this influencer marketing. Affiliate marketing has, in my books, almost disappeared. I'm sure it's done by someone, but I have not heard about it in a long time. And so therefore, I'm not even spending time to talk about it. I didn't have ever any good experience with affiliate marketing, though I know that there are some niches where it could work, like digital products. Email marketing has somewhat been maybe infused with marketing automation. So technically, marketing automation deals with anything where we automate some marketing process using technology, right? So in Google Ads, for example, there are dozens of automations running, and most of them we don't even have control over, but there are some things that we have control over there. But any marketing activity that relies on digital technologies can be automated, and email marketing is probably the best known example of this. So these automated emails, drip emails, like they are called, drip campaigns, kind of like these sequences of messages that you get either coming to you based on your behaviors that will trigger them, or then just that you always get that sequence when you join up, for example, or subscribe. Those type of things are traditional examples. But yeah, marketing automation is much broader than email marketing. I think email marketing relies on automation. Effective email marketing requires automation, otherwise it probably will not produce very good results in my kind of humble opinion. Conversion optimization is still very important. We will talk about that later. Digital analytics. So before we didn't have, let's say, digital analytics as a separate subfield. I want to mention analytics is hugely important. For example, we had this meeting we have in marketing, like an advisory board that reviews our course structure and the course descriptions. And what they told us, so these are professionals working in companies like Fazer and other Finnish sort of bigger companies. And they said that analytics is the #1 skill you should be teaching students. They need to know analytics. So that's why I put it here as a separate point. Digital analytics is a thing, because actually whatever you do, you need to have you need to justify your actions and your impact using numbers. And analytics deals with how we get those what those numbers should be, first of all, what are the relevant numbers for me to justify my impact, and then, okay, how can I get them? Is the other thing that analytics deals with. So it doesn't matter if you work in influencer marketing or social media marketing or just ad copywriting, anything, it can be measured, the impact, or that's at least the idea behind this analytics, that everything can be measured and therefore it should be measured, and therefore analytics just permeates everything in digital marketing. And yeah, like I said, growth hacking or growth marketing is kind of has become important and kind of solidified its position as a thing, although it's not talked about as much nowadays as before, but the principles behind it, I would say, are extremely relevant even today, especially if you deal with startup companies. Okay, so skills, analytics skills, creative skills, people skills, 3 types of skills in digital marketing. And these analytics skills deal with numbers, quantitative analysis, and they are often considered these hard skills. Creative skills are considered soft skills, so they refer to writing or doing some qualitative analysis. And then people skills are a third skill that's important. Interpersonal skills, your ability to communicate with others in team, your ability to negotiate, and also the management side of things. So once you have people, you're a supervisor, how you lead them, how you instruct them, how you transfer knowledge from yourself to these people to support their job and also their growth in the organization. So yeah, there's this kind of often kind of pitting these two skills, analytics and creative skills, together, but it's important to kind of not fall into that trap and understand that yes, there are technical skills. We need to understand the numbers. We need to understand also the how the platforms work, but also we need to understand human behavior. So that's the interesting mixture of digital marketing, because we basically we deal a lot with technology. What we do is we click buttons as digital marketers. Then we type things like ads or messages or newsletters or blog posts or messages to our team members, right? And so our work has both of those sides. We need to understand the human because we want to influence people, whether they're our customers or other people working in our team or our organization. And then we need to understand how this technology infiltrates or affects that. Like, how does the algorithm favor us? How much should we put money into this kind of campaign? How can we optimize? What does optimization even mean? These type of things. So it's a beautiful mix of kind of both qualitative human understanding and human factors, and then this technical hard skills that reveal, but often just focusing on the one or the other is not optimal. So we could see like this division sometimes, or very strongly, it still takes place in organization, and people somehow they like to identify. I like to think of myself as a creative person, so I hate numbers, or I'm a numbers person. I really don't like this kind of mushy talk about understanding and empathy and all those things. I want to see the numbers behind. So people like to identify into these extremes, and that's also partially what is driving how digital marketing organizations are formed. So often it's seen that, for example, online advertising and search engine marketing, they're analytical professions. So people that like numbers will go into these, because especially online advertising nowadays means very performance oriented. So it's to do with optimization and not so much with creative creation of ads. For example, I've done this with many people, the online advertising, and there are people that they not even touch the ads. They're like, ads are written by someone else. I'm optimizing. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at the targeting. I'm looking at the budget levels. I'm following the return on ad spend. I don't care what ad we spread. I don't care what message we have. So people willingly go into these silos. And then in social media, content marketing, and influencer, it might be the other. I'm like, the creative people identify with those areas, and then they in turn are that, okay, we don't need to follow our social media. It's enough we post nice things, right? Or, we want to tell about things, or we want to do collaborations and sponsorships because that's how we should do. But it's not driven by analytical choice, but more like, okay, this uh, this influencer is matching with our product and so on. And then again, email marketing and marketing automation and these other fields are more analytical oriented. So this is the idea that this is why companies often get siloed. However, now in my argument, or my argument is that we are all these blue people. We are not yellow people or gray people. We are blue people. So in all professions, in all digital marketing subfields, we need both analytical and creative skills. And also, it is possible to learn kind of both of them. It's not impossible. You don't have to silo yourself as I'm only the numbers person or I'm only the creative person. It hampers or hinders your professional development a lot if you think like this, because that limits your skills, right? There's no reason why you couldn't write the ads, run the ads, and look at the performance of the ads. Why should you only say that I only writing the ads, someone else is running them? See, you can do it easily in the online platform. Typing the ads there. Then running, selecting the campaigns, creating, you can do, one person can do. There's no physical limitation to that. The limitation is only mental. And then, oh, you can learn about metrics. I guarantee you, all of you can learn everything you need about metrics, like by spending one day with a professional digital marketer. One day, they could teach you that, oh yeah, this metric is this and that, and you look at it here, and you can make this kind of decisions with that. So it's not rocket science at all. Let's say, the basic level, the professional working capacity level, all of the analytical and creative skills are achievable in all these domains by a relatively small amount of effort. Then, of course, when we go into the best, who is the best in social media marketing analytics or marketing automation configuration, then of course from the getting to the 80% understanding is fairly quick, but getting to the 100% after that, getting one extra percentage point in performance and knowledge becomes harder and harder. But this applies to any kind of profession. I'm just saying that all this basic capacity in analytics and creative skills in all of the subfields, the 80% is very doable, and none of it is rocket science. So yeah, here are some examples of these specializations. Still, we can think of specializations, and okay, what kind of tools we would learn. So yeah, in creative specialization, we have things like copywriting, reading the classics of copywriting, like Ogilvy, for example, David Ogilvy, famous advertiser. There's also someone, if you haven't heard the name, Claude Hopkins. I recommend Claude reading his book called Scientific Advertising. It's, I believe it's written in 1926 or published in 1926, almost 100 years ago. It talks about conversions, and it's mainly about copywriting, but it's a beautiful book because it combines this idea of creativity and understanding people with the measurement of campaign performance, which is what we can do nowadays so much easier. But in his time, they sent, this a lot of postal mail. They would send, to people, and they would test it by varying the coupons. So the coupons had some different text or something, and then when the coupons are redeemed, they can now see that, okay, this concept or idea we tested had this and this many coupons. So this and this many conversions took place because people used those coupons this and this many times, right? Versus the other. And then they could do simple comparison, how much better was the other version compared to the other version. So anyway, I recommend Scientific Advertising, the book, and it can be freely downloaded online. It's available as PDF, the book Scientific Advertising. So that's great because it's about persuasion, but it's also about the measurement. And yeah, these creative people, yeah, interpersonal skills, or let's say creative skills require this development of interpersonal skills as well. In analytics specialization, yeah, basic statistics is important. More advanced things like programming, JavaScript, SQL, Python. Those kind of hard skills are kind of becoming also in some areas a must. Like SQL, for example, is often used because databases are SQL databases, often with e-commerce companies and many companies. So SQL is the language how you can extract data from such a database. And the database can be huge. Like for example, I think Facebook is using SQL databases. So it can have the information of 1 billion people, and you want to extract the information specific variable from specific location at specific point in time. So how do you do that? Well, yeah, with SQL, you write one query and you list those criteria that you have, and it extracts that information from the table, and wow, there you have the information. So this is one of superpower that you can get. And nowadays it's super, I shouldn't use word super easy, but it's easier to learn, for example, SQL or Python, because we can use, of course, tools like ChatGPT to explain us basic concepts and give us examples and explain how code works and so on. So it's actually a great time nowadays to get started with tech because it's so much easier than previously. You can run code in Google Colab, which I think we will do in the AI and ML course. That's after this course. We will try to run some code and do some real analysis tasks. So the main point is that this is a false dichotomy, and in fact all subfields require a basic in analytics and creatives, and you should try to develop those skills, because if you don't, then you're just sort of artificially limiting your potential. And don't let other people silo you into just being a numbers guy or just being. I remember when I went to the QCRI in Qatar, and then some of the team members, they had seen my CV and they said, "Oh yeah, so you are a qualitative analyst guy," and I was like, I didn't say anything, but I felt pissed off. I'm like, no, I can do much more than that, and yeah, so don't let people silo you into anything, into any category, but think ahead, think combining skills, combining ways of thinking. You can produce much more value in that way. Okay, so yes, and yeah, the depth of all of it varies. So I understand. So then, for example, in the case of analytics, if we go into installation and configuration and all that stuff, so that's why there is still need for specialization in these professions, because then there are truly to develop like an analytics program, for example, for a company requires more technical expertise than to use analytics. So there are different depths of knowing things. And then the idea also about the T-shaped marketer, which is that the T-shape is the idea that you have a broad understanding of a lot of things, but it's quite superficial. So you know the basics of different subfields in digital marketing, and then the T part is one specialization where you really have developed strong skills. So for example, you would have basic skills on copywriting, creating ads, doing social media posting, but then you would be super good at SEO. So that would be your specialization. And it now depends on, or there's an association between what type of skill set you have and what type and job positions. So, for example, PPC specialists requires a certain skill set when a job is posted like this, and the same for all other jobs. So the skill set varies, or the compatible skill sets are different. And this is, by the way, this will be your task on Friday. I can reveal already a bit. So you will go into different job posts to try and understand the positions and what kind of skill sets are required in the market. So that's what we do. So, and then often it happens so that we become managers as our careers progress. So often we start from being specialists and gain some special knowledge, and then we go into these manager roles. And that means that then we have to have a broader skill set of understanding different digital marketing fields, but also all those, those interpersonal skills about management and so on. So it's not only about technical skills. So there are some strategies for job or career development. This one idea is the T+1 strategy, which is that to get going, because you're pretty much tabula rasa, or like empty plate. So pick a subfield that interests you the most. I've seen this play out with some of my students who started with a one field and they specialized in that. They did their bachelor's thesis, master's thesis on it. They became very good at it. So they learned to master it, and they became, in this case, he was an SEO guy. So he became an SEO guy. But then I remember vividly, we were on a train coming back from Helsinki to Turku, somewhere around 2015, maybe. And then he had been an SEO guy for a couple of years, and he said, Joni, I'm at a crossroads now, and I'm thinking of two options. Option one, should I go deeper into SEO, even deeper into the technology, the programming, the website architecture, and stuff like that? Or should I switch to Facebook ads? And then I actually gave him the advice that I think, look, you should probably stick with the SEO, and it has a very promising future, and it's a relevant skill also going forward. So the higher your expertise will be in that, the kind of the more valuable you will be for different companies, basically. But he chose otherwise. He switched to the Facebook ads, and then he mastered it pretty quickly. And then now, well, in his case, that was, well, we did also a lot of other stuff than those two SEO. We did all digital marketing fields, but basically, now he's head of e-commerce. So this played out for him because in his current position of head of e-commerce in the company, he needs to have a good understanding of SEO and meta ads, which they use a lot. And because he knows meta ads sort of by conjecture, he knows Google ads, and then he knows TikTok ads, because they're very similar, how you run the campaigns, how the metrics work, and so on. And yeah, so for him, this strategy work. There could be another way, which is the generalist strategy. If you become a marketing manager in a small company, this is kind of how I started, and I didn't specialize into anything. I was marketing manager. I was given a budget. Here is 200,000 euros. Now you need to make a marketing strategy, then make a marketing plan, and then make a marketing budget. Okay, I've heard this word somewhere, but see, that's pretty much how it played out. So then I was very young and eager to do that, so that's what I did. I made like all those things, strategy and plan and budget, but uh, and then I started also implementing, because there's nobody else in the company. So who's gonna implement this? Oh, okay, I will do. So I did the campaigns in Google ads, Facebook ads. I started running the blogger reach out. I started running the email marketing, everything, because it needed to be done. But that was a lot of work, but it was also very rewarding because I could learn these things hands-on, right? And there's no better um, way of learning than hands-on. I could actually see that, oh, okay, this works like this. And when I do like that, then that happens. And now I'm understanding it much better than if I'm reading some blog post and someone is explaining me nice fancy ideas. I'm actually now seeing it firsthand and learning all these things. So this was basically my um, path, and then often in people there, if they are in industry, I'm like not in industry, I'm in academia and just doing this consultation part-time. But if I were in industry, from that expertise now, it gives me a very good um, foundational skills to move forward into bigger organizations and apply those skills in some kind of, again, sometimes managerial role and beyond. So the common thing is that all paths require hands-on experience, and I don't want to say as a university teacher that university doesn't matter, but when it comes to learning, really learning digital marketing, it matters less. So you should try to listen to me and the ideas and experiences that I'm sharing, but also knowing that that's will not be enough. If you want to go into this industry, you have to get things like internships, and even like, for example, this guy I mentioned who is now head of e-commerce, he came to intern for me in the company for free. I didn't pay him anything, but I told him that, look, you come, I guarantee you will learn a lot. So he took the risk, but he got a big payoff because he did learn a lot, and it did push him to his career, where he's been now for more than 10 years. So anyway, as a young person, your most important thing is to get that opportunity, to get that skill, that hands-on experience, and through that there will be a ladder effect and you can move forward. But so that's why, I mean, things like whether or not you get a couple of thousands of euros for, internship paid, that doesn't matter at all. The knowledge is the one you should always prioritize. And secondly, this thesis work. So as in my case, I did my thesis all related to digital marketing or digital business. So then that supported my academic career in this field. And yeah, that's, I guess, one of the leading reasons why I'm now managing the DIMA program, because I have the suitable background for it. So take these thesis selections, think them through, and really consider them as hugely influential decisions, because they kind of are. They can push you, your career direction. A small decision like, should I do it on this topic? And in 2007, and yeah, it kind of affected everything where I'm now. And I didn't think it that thoroughly. I just thought that it would be interesting. But looking back, I was sort of lucky that it was kind of a right topic, uh, and it kind of proved out to be a good decision. All right, so with that, I think we are done, and thank you to those who remained. And do we have any questions at this point? If we don't have any questions, then we can close this session, and I will see you guys in person in Vaasa this Friday morning at 10 a.m. Looking forward to seeing you live and getting the first exercise session going. So have a nice week, and oh yeah, remember to join the Moodle and get going with the materials. So by Friday you already have more information about digital marketing. Good. Thank you and bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.